So again, this is the webinar for the new project catalog that we have here at CodeHS. My name is Lindsay Roberts. I am a professional development specialist at CodeHS. With me today is Dave Burnham, who is a curriculum developer here. He's going to be answering your questions on the back end if you have any questions for the Q&A. If you have not used a Zoom webinar before, you can find the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom tools. So if you have any questions today, go ahead and throw those in the Q&A. I'm going to be putting some links into chat, but you won't have the ability to write into the chat. So any links that we send out today will be through that chat, but any questions you have should go into the Q&A. Okay, so if you already have a CodeHS account, if you could just sign in. If you do not yet have an account, you can sign up really quickly at this site that I will put into the chat. And this will give you a chance to look through the project catalog as we go through the slides today. And if you want to just follow along and sign in later, that's totally fine too. But if you wanted to access the project catalog as we go, you can sign into your account. So today we are going to look at the project catalog. We'll do a quick intro into what is CodeHS, an intro into what the project catalog is. We'll look at how to filter projects in the catalog to find exactly what you're looking for. I'm going to go over some example projects so you can see kind of an idea of what's in the catalog, and then I will show you how to add those projects to your courses on CodeHS. If you would like to follow along on the slides, I just put that link into chat. It's codehs.com/project catalog-slides. So just an overview of what CodeHS is. It is a comprehensive platform for teaching computer science. We have curriculum for K to 12. We have on the site anything you would need to bring a CS program to your school. So that includes the pathway of curriculum. We have online professional development, workshops, and webinars like this. We have offline professional development available as well. And then we do have a full online platform with tools and resources for teachers. That software platform does include a ton of tools, a lot of resources. We do have instant feedback for students, so there is an auto grader on most of the assignments on CodeHS. We have a lot of grading and tracking tools that you can use in your classroom, and everything is web-based, so you don't need to download anything. There's no plugins required. You can do this on a Chromebook, a Mac, or a Windows device. All of that is available on, the whole site is available just on a website. So the project catalog is brand new. It just dropped last week. So we have a bunch of new projects available to you. The idea here is that most of the assignments that you give in your course are specific to one type of concept. So you might have a lesson on if statements, and then the assignment is write an if statement that does this, or then you're giving a lesson on while loops, and then the assignment is write something that has this while loop in it. So these projects are going to be more overarching. So this is something you can give students that will utilize multiple concepts that they've learned in your class. They're more open-ended, so students are having the chance to make more creative decisions. They're doing more problem solving. And these are things that you can put sporadically throughout your class to give them more of that creative problem solving practice. Okay, so we're going to look at the project catalog. If you go to your homepage on CodeHS, on the left-hand menu, you'll see you do have an option now for project catalogs. That's about 2/3 of the way down, 3/4 maybe, where it says project catalog. If I click that, then I will see the entire project catalog. And you'll see there's tons of projects in here. All of these are different projects, so lots of stuff in here. And we'll go through how to kind of filter out what you are looking for your class. So again, this is on the left-hand bar under your name. You'll see project catalog down there. So I have a bunch of different ways I can filter the catalog. The first one, maybe the most useful for you, would be the programming language. So if you're teaching a class in JavaScript, I don't need to look at all of the Java and Python projects as I'm looking for a project for my class. So I can just pick JavaScript, and that'll show me just the projects that use JavaScript. We have projects in JavaScript, Java, Python, HTML, and then we have some that are in C++, as well as some in React Native. The second tab here is going to be a filter by grade. So this will filter middle school or high school projects. You'll notice that all of these projects do have a high school tag because all of these projects would be appropriate for a high school classroom. But some of them will also have this middle school tag, ones that we think would also be appropriate for a middle school class. And it doesn't mean that none of the high school projects are appropriate for middle school. It definitely depends on your school and your student. So that is one option though, if you wanted to filter out some of the high school ones. We also have a difficulty tag, so you can filter the easy projects, the medium difficulty projects, and the harder projects. Again, this would definitely depend on your student, so you could take a look at each of the different difficulty bands and see which one is appropriate for your students at that point in the year. There is also another set of tags. There's 3 that are in here. You can filter the auto-graded assignments. You'll see that there are several that are auto-graded, but most of them will not be. The reason for that is because these projects are more overarching and lend themselves to more creativity. There's not one solution to each of them. So it's harder to auto-grade something when there's lots of different ways to solve the problem. So in order to make them less restrictive projects, most of them are not auto-graded. We do also have a beginner tag, so some of these will be listed as beginner projects. And then the last tag here is the APCSA labs. All these are in Java and all of these are from the APCSA course. So that would be a way to filter down to look at ones that are really appropriate for the class that you are teaching. If you have one that you know is in here and you don't want to have to scroll to find it, you can just also put in the keyword. I'll see that like there's some that say games. If I type in game, I'll get ones that have games somewhere in them. So these are all games that would be available as projects. If I know that I want to do the game of pig, that's one that we have in here. I have that in C++, Python, Java, and JavaScript. So that would be how I would filter through the projects. Okay, so we're just going to talk through, I think 5 of these projects, just to give you an idea of kind of what some of the projects you'll see in the project catalog are. The first one is the letter histogram project. This one you could assign in JavaScript, in Java, in Python, or in C++. You'll see here that it's tagged, and this comes right from the project catalog. So you'll see these have, some of them will say the difficulty level, but they'll also have that amount of time that is expected for them to take. So the letter histogram is marked as an easy project. It's expected to take around an hour to complete. And for this project, students are using string and character functions. They're creating a histogram of the letter frequency in a text that's given to them. So the project will take in a text file and then they will have to find the frequency of each of the letters. I can see here, because the project says I'm using string and character functions, my students would have to at least know how to use those functions to be able to assign this project to them. The next one is that game of pig. So this is another one that's available in all 4 of those languages: JavaScript, Java, Python, and C++. This one is more medium difficulty and is expected to take about 4 hours. So that might be a 1-week project after you've assigned it and gone over the expectations. That could be 1 week of project for you. For this project, it is a dice game. So you're rolling dice and banking points at different times. This one does use functions. It uses conditional statements. It uses loops. And they're also teaching the computer some rules for when the computer should be rolling the dice or banking their points. This is an HTML project. You'll see this one's tagged as a beginner project. It's listed as medium difficulty and will take about 3 hours to complete. This project uses HTML and also CSS. There is a little bit of JavaScript, but it's given to them, so they don't need to know any JavaScript to do this project. This game is, it's a web-based game that they're creating, and there's a character that moves across the screen and they're clicking on it to gain points. The next one we have here is Mad Libs. This one's available in Java and in Python, so either of those 2 languages. This one is a hard project and is listed as about 6 hours of work. This one, the student is creating a Mad Lib. They're using classes and array lists, which is why it gets that hard tag. And this one, again, 6 hours, so a little over a week probably of class time working on this one. The shift cipher is available in JavaScript and in C++, where this one again is an easy project. It should take about 2 hours. And for this one, they're making a cipher where they can encode and decode strings, and they'll use string methods to do that. And then the last one I wanted to highlight for you is this digital forensics project. This one's a medium difficulty and takes about 4 hours. This one does not require any programming. So there are some projects in the project catalog that won't require any programming knowledge to complete them. This one is, again, though, a medium difficulty project. They're getting forensic cases, fake forensic cases, and they're practicing collecting, examining, analyzing, and reporting on data from those cases. Okay, so when I go to the project catalog, I can assign projects directly from the project catalog, or I can assign them directly from my course. So I'll show you how to do both of those. If I click on any of these projects, I have the letter histogram open here. I'll see a lot of information that's right here. I don't see the actual project. I see some information about the project, and then to see the actual project, I would need to assign it. So I see that description up here that tells me I'm using string and character functions. It tells me that it does read in a file, but that part is given to them, and then they're analyzing how many times the letter shows up. I'll get a little background of the project. So this tells me when the QWERTY keyboard was made, it was made because of where how often letters were used. So we're kind of mimicking that in this project. We'll see what the task is for the student. There will be this project demo down here. So this one doesn't have any user input, but I will see what would print out once a student has finished this project. It'll print out the frequency of letters in a text that's given to them. So the text that it read in had this frequency of letters. I'll also see at the bottom an overview of the project. So this project is a shorter one, so it does only have one part of the assignment. But if I go to like the game of pig, for example, if I go to the bottom, I'll see this project has a few more parts to it. So I have this little free response part on the game of pig. They're building the basic program, and then after they do that, they add the computer opponent to it. So this one builds on itself a little bit more. This one has a little bit more scaffolding in it. And that's because that is a longer project. So when I go to any of these projects, I can assign straight from the project. I'll see this assign button right here. So again, if I go to the project catalog, I pick a project, I will see that assign button show up here. I can click assign. And then I get what I would normally see when I'm adding an assignment from another course. If you've used like supplemental material before, I can pick which course I want to add it to. And then if I have a pro account, I can edit some of these features down here and then click assign. And once I assign it, I can go to that course and look at the project. So I'll say now at the bottom, I do have this letter histogram module. It shows up just like a module in any of your other courses. So I have the module, I have the lesson, and then the exercise. This one does just have the one exercise in it, but we'll see that the pig one does have a few more parts to it. And they will see this the same way they would with any other project in CodeHS. So they'll get the same exercise that's listed here, the same setup that they're used to on the assignment. I can then move this module wherever I want to move it. I can click move up and put it at whatever spot in the course I want to. So that's how to assign them straight from the project catalog. Again, I would just pick the project and then click the assign button. I also can assign directly from the course. So if I'm in my course right now, I know what project I want to add. I don't need to go back to the project catalog. I can add it just like I would add anything else in a CodeHS course. So if I go over to the right-hand side over here, and to get to this, I've gone from my homepage to my course and then clicked on assignments. I can click the add button right there. And then you'll see I have this new option down here, this CodeHS project option. So when I click that, I will get a list of all the projects in the project catalog. Now, the one difference here is I can't filter by anything. I can search by name, but I can't filter any of those filters. So if you're browsing to try and find a project that would work for your class, you would want to go to the project catalog. The reason to add it this way is just if you already know what your project is and you don't want to have to navigate back there. So if I know I want to do the pig game, I can do that. This class is in JavaScript, so I'll pick the JavaScript one, and this is one click. So when I click it, it will assign it. And then if I go and refresh my course, I'll see that the game of pig is down here at the bottom. And this one does have a couple of extra parts to it. So this one does have a free response. It has building the basic program and then adding the computer opponent. So that would be how to add both from the project catalog and then how to add directly from your course. Another option that you might want to use with the project catalog is maybe you have an after-school club that you want to give just projects to. So it's students that aren't in a course on CodeHS, but you want to give them access to these projects. I can do that by making a blank course. If you haven't done that before, I can go to my homepage and go to the courses button. And here I could say, maybe I'm teaching or sponsoring the Girls Who Code Club. I can create a new course, and then instead of giving an actual course template like you would for your normal classes, I can choose to create an empty course here. And if I add my section, I'll see that I have it looks like a CodeHS course, but there's nothing in it. So here I can now add from the project catalog, and then I would have a spot where I could put a bunch of these projects from the project catalog for my after school club that wasn't following a course necessarily. Okay, are there any questions about the project catalog? Any projects that you wanted to see again? Looks like we don't have any open questions on the Q&A, so I will move on to this part. If you are interested in coming to more CodeHS webinars, you can go to codehs.com/webinars. We have a few that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow we have a webinar on how to build or personalize and build your own assignments. We have one next week on how to grade and provide feedback if you have a pro account, and then one in a couple of weeks on the cheat detection and prevention suite. And then I have some more links to give you. First, if you want more information on CodeHS, if you're not super familiar with the site or you want information on the pro accounts, you can go to codehs.com/learn more. You can give some information and one of our team members will reach out to you. We also have a bunch of ways for you to get more involved in CodeHS or to talk to more teachers that are using CodeHS. So we have the opportunity to become a CodeHS certified educator or to earn micro-credentials on certain languages. We do also have a lot of other free CodeHS-led and teacher-led workshops that I'll give you the link to. There is also a CodeHS Facebook educators group, and that's a place to interact with teachers who are using the site. They'll help tell you how they use it. The same thing with the Slack channel, and then you also can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at CodeHS. So I put all of those links into the chat for you.
Yeah, and we got a question about the difference between beginner and easy. So they are similar. Beginner projects are really projects that are designed for the first couple months of learning. So like some of the Carol projects, things like that, probably the first third of a year-long course. Yeah, the content in there. So it doesn't really use too much advanced computer science concepts or too much advanced program or problem solving skills. That's kind of what we define as a beginner. The easy are a little bit more difficult. They may have skills that they go a little bit deeper into the content. They may be a little bit more involved as far as their problem solving, things like that. Generally speaking, the easier the problem is, the shorter it is, but we do have some that kind of buck that trend. So we do kind of look at the difficulty level based on the skills that are needed to complete the task. But we kind of recognize that longer problems have more debugging, which makes them inherently more difficult as well. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. Okay, and if you have no other questions, that is our project catalog webinar. We will, or MR will send out the slides again in an email. And please reach out if you have any questions.